Yo, what's happening, everybody? It's your boy Erskmac, the mad scientist, and this is Pro Wrestling Talk Live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time with the latest and greatest in pro wrestling news. And whether it's breaking or some news that came over the past week, this is your hub to get all this news and reviews. Of course, you know this is WrestleMania season, and this weekend coming in is AEW Revolution, and AEW Revolution is very, very special because of Sting's retirement match. And I can't put this into words, but I will say next Tuesday I will have a wrestling show like totally dedicated to Sting and his accomplishments, because Sting is my all-time favorite wrestler. Like he's always been my number one wrestler. I've been a fan of many other performers in the wrestling business, but Sting has always been that number one guy for me. So speaking of Sting, we're definitely going to cover up some Sting news in regards to Kevin Nash, and we had some breaking news when it comes to Drew McIntyre, and some other breaking news when it comes to Tama Tonga, as well as Chad Gable, because WrestleMania matches seems to be set. And there may be some other little, loose ends that need to be tied up, but we're definitely going to be covering that. First, I need to send a shout out to my late uncle, Leroy Rush. Now, he didn't recently pass away. He passed away last year, but this back here is a railroad light, and he is a huge wrestling fan. And he always been a wrestling fan. Between me and my older brother and my Uncle Roy, that's the one thing that we always talk about. When I used to come see him and my aunt Jean, me and Roy used to sit there and have these hours-long conversations about different wrestling things, and I used to amaze him with wrestling news, and because I was into it. I was to the point where I was calling Mean Gene Oakland on the 1-800 line just to get that insider news, running up my grandma's light bill until she found out. And then, it was a wrap. It was a wrap from there. But he always been a huge wrestling fan. So, shout out to my Uncle Roy. And I definitely will carry this railroad light in the memory. Now, one thing's for sure with this is that he used to be a truck driver. And him being a truck driver, he always get these little trinkets. Like, if it's cool, he's going to buy it. And this is just how it happened to be one of those things. And maybe that's where I get that habit from, because if I see something real cool and I'm like, you know what? This might not be here when I get back, so I'm gonna go ahead and buy it. So that's really where I got that habit from. But me loving wrestling, he attributed to that. Him and my older brother. And my older brother actually took me to Starrcade 93 in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I got to see my favorite wrestler, Sting, and he got to see his favorite wrestler in Ric Flair. And we're definitely gonna jump into some Sting news, and that goes with Kevin Nash. And I do have the news up here with the most recent news report that Sting actually most recently asked Kevin Nash, will he be able to attend his retirement match? And Kevin Nash says that will be impossible. And so last week on Click This podcast, Kevin Nash caused a bit of a stir online when he said Sting asked him to attend this last match at AEW Revolution on March 3rd. But that he couldn't get WWE's permission to do so. Now, on the latest Click This, Nash addressed the issue again. It seemed a lot of folks interpreted his comment about his positioning with WWE as meaning the Hall of Famer is under contract to the company. And this is a quote from his podcast by CageSeats.com. It said, and I'll quote, "I never said that he's on the WWE payroll. What I said was that I'm a WWE guy. I can't have a picture of me in the crowd and underneath it says is all elite. I just can't have that. It just doesn't work for one of my closest effing friends. People is Paul Levesque, aka Triple H. Now, as much as I love Steve Borden, which is Sting, I know he'll only have one last match. I will watch it. We will talk about it. I just won't be there." Now, Nash goes further on to explain, "Man, I haven't been to WrestleMania or Raw or SmackDown or any other pay-per-views. I haven't been to any events. I don't want to go to any place and be around a bunch of people, let alone wrestling people. I just don't want to do it. I'm a hermit, and that's it." My existence is, I went to the gym the other day and the place was packed. I just walked right out. And he references that to the death of his son 16 months prior, Tristan. So Tristan, his son, unfortunately passed away 16 months ago. And so he attributed that to him not being able to attend Sting's retirement match. Now, the question is Kevin Nash wrong? If he led with that, he wouldn't have been, honestly. But the one thing that the IWC has picked up on is that, hey, I'm a WWE guy. I'm close friends with Paul Levesque. But, okay, from a fan standpoint, I can give you their thought process and what's my thought process over the past couple of days. So Sting's not your friend either? Like, you didn't travel the road with Sting? Like, were y'all not in the NWO Wolfpack together? Like, Sting used to talk about him hanging out with Hall and Nash and Luger and Conan and the boys. Like he's not your friend either. And then we found out that he's not on the WWE payroll. So when he says I'm a WWE guy, it doesn't make sense to the fan base, and I'm gonna explain why it doesn't, make sense to the fan base. You have people like Bayley that is fully employed with WWE. She goes to see Trinity wrestle. She's up in the balcony, like no fans, no one around her. She's not in a crowd with anybody. Someone took a picture or whatever the case may be, but TNA did not pan to her and say, hey, Bayley's in the building, y'all, and she's for TNA wrestling, blah, blah, blah. Nah, they didn't even do that. And then on top of all that, you got Kenny Omega and the Bucks interacting with the New Day, playing video games on YouTube. Also, Billy Gunn showing up for his induction in the WWE Hall of Fame, which he is gainfully employed with AEW because Tony Khan gave permission to do so. Matter of fact, when they did the reunion show, Tony Khan was actually willing to actually give Billy Gunn to WWE, through a deal, and WWE refused while fully employed. So to flip this on TK, you can't really flip it on him because he actually loosened the reins a little bit. So Kevin Nash is not employed with WWE. He's just saying that I won't be able to go. I can't go. It's impossible. It's not really impossible. You can literally go somewhere and be somewhere in private in the skybox with no one around you and everything else. Like, yeah, the crowd might take a picture or something of you or whatever the case may be, but you're not around people physically. You like the amount of work that Sting put in, right? The amount of, history that he has, like decades of wrestling, and him being afraid to go to WWE because he's afraid of how he was going to be treated in WWE. And when he finally made it to WWE, his last match or so didn't go as planned. A lot of fans were upset at him losing at WrestleMania. This is your first WrestleMania. You can't get a dub? You can't get this man a dub? Mainly because, Triple H was building himself up to wrestle The Rock the following WrestleMania or whatever the case may be. And that never happened. So Sting really lost for nothing. And then he had this unfortunate injury with Seth Rollins, not Seth Rollins' fault. And then it just didn't end well. It didn't end well at all. So with Sting showing up to AEW, him being undefeated for this long, and Tony Khan treating him so well, and him being taken care of in tag matches and everything else in between, his interactions with the other performers and how other performers speak highly of this man. You mean to tell me you can't pull up to see this man retirement match? Like his very last retirement match. Now, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. In just my opinion alone, it's a little selfish. Because at one point, my argument was, okay, you employed by WWE, and that's what you led with. You led with that. I'm a WWE guy. I haven't been to a SmackDown. I haven't been to a Raw. I'm a WWE guy. If you led with that, and considering the fact there's other performers that are employed by the WWE, that's a lame excuse. But then later on, you put out there, listen, I'm an isolated. I'm not going to do that. Like, had he led with the latter, I think the fan base will be a little bit more understanding of why he's so isolated or why he hasn't been on TV or anything like that. If he led with that. But I mean, for me, if it was up to me, I will pull up for Sting. Like, maybe this may be a jolt of positivity for you, you know, for him rather. And I mean, you old Sting, man, you old Sting. I mean, you can't say you have loyalty to the WWE because you did leave the WWE. Like, you did go to WCW for that paycheck. You have said on many occasions that you bought that paper, you bought that money. You know what I'm saying? I understand the friendship with Triple H. I understand the friendship with Shawn and being close with them, especially losing Scott Hall, because that's a devastating loss. And you compound that with losing your son, because no one really want to outlive their children, you know. But if anybody is a level of positivity, it's definitely a Sting. And I feel like anybody deserves that kind of accolade or that kind of support is definitely unequivocally Sting. Like, there's no questions that need to be asked as far as, you know, should I or shouldn't I go to Sting's retirement, especially if the man asked you. If he asked you, could you pull up? Now, showing up on TV and showing up at ringside and everything else, now that's different. That is totally different. And I totally understand that. And maybe there is an off chance. Maybe Kevin Nash is playing us. Maybe he just throw us off the scent, and then he just magically pulls up at AEW Revolution to support Sting, and then myself included, everybody else will have egg on the face because we was jumping on Kevin Nash. You know, that is a off chance that will happen. Now, during his podcast on adfreeshows.com, Lex Luger was asked about potentially being in attendance for Sting's last match at AEW Revolution. To quote Lex Luger, he says, "You want me to answer that? Let me put it this way. I will go back 35 years of friendship. Friendship sometimes transcends the kayfabe or work up the other, and there may be ramifications or there may be not. Sting was there for me at 3 a.m. when I had my motorcycle wreck and they wanted to cut my arm off and kind of stop the doctors from cutting my arm off. Now, so people could read into that what they want on whether I might be at a building or not. I won't confirm anything, but I'm just saying I leave it in that context. How's that? Now, I wouldn't be surprised if the total package Lex Luger pulls up. I wouldn't be surprised if Ric Flair pulls up, because Sting has done so much for the wrestling business. He's done so much for WCW, done so much for NWA. I like the Clash of Champions '88, wrestling the Great Muta, wrestling Big Van Vader, wrestling Rick Rude, wrestling Cactus Jack. And I mean, obviously Ric Flair is the commonality in that, but all these individuals that Sting has wrestled, man, this man is in his 60s and jumping off of balconies. He deserves, ain't no need, he deserves every single person that he's impacted, that is still on this living plane, that is able-bodied to show up at this event to watch this man's last match. To watch it. Because he deserves all that credit, man. And that's Kevin Nash included, man, because Kevin Nash is a part of that history. Kevin Nash is part of the NWO Wolfpack. Sting was part of the NWO Wolfpack. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Only time will tell. Like, maybe Kevin Nash may show up on Sunday, but as far as the fan base is concerned, they, and myself included, were upset at those comments, because we look at what he said and think about all these other performers that pulled up for their friends and just sat somewhere where there was, you know, there wasn't to be seen, but they had perfect vision on what's going on with their friend. And, you know, and who knows, Sting may be okay with this. Sting may be completely understanding of this. And that's the thing about Sting. Like, I have not seen Sting like pissed off or upset at someone for not pulling up somewhere. It's just the fans are upset. Sting may not be. And my thing is, if Sting's not upset, you shouldn't be either. That's the thing. If Sting's not upset, you shouldn't be either. If Sting is upset, by all means, do your thing. But I think as far as the fan base to give a understanding of that is that, you know, Sting has been your friend. You can't reciprocate that. That means your level of friendship ain't on the same level as his. That's from outside looking in. We do not know the relationship between Sting and Kevin Nash. We really don't. We know what we see on TV. We know what we see on pay-per-views from back in the day and everything else between. They could have a private conversation that's not on our ears, but we just giving our opinions on that notion. And that's what it is. I hope the one man shows up, and that's Lex Luger, man. Because, you know, whenever there's Sting, I see Luger, whether they're enemies or whether they're friends, they always right there behind each other. Now, on to the next news. It is Drew McIntyre. Should Drew McIntyre re-sign with the WWE? Now, there have been some news reports as far as what's going on. There was rumors circling that Drew McIntyre has re-signed with the WWE. But as of 5 hours ago, with Drew McIntyre, it is stated that, per WWE sources, that he has not re-signed with WWE, and they are currently in talks with him at this time. So, looking through that, according to WWE sources, everyone is working together on assumption a new deal will be reached, but nothing has been signed and sealed as of today by Pro Wrestling Insider. That is the most recent news with Drew McIntyre. So he has yet to re-sign with WWE. Now, if he resigns with WWE, would I be surprised? No, you shouldn't be either. You shouldn't be either. Like, if you notice, if I've noticed this little pattern. If you not about to, you know, in your contract negotiations, sometimes you're at the forefront of storylines. You know, sometimes you're highlighted in storylines, and sometimes that may sweeten the deal a little bit and coerce you into resigning, because if you resign for a few years, then we can do whatever we want with you. We can push you here, but, you know, we can put you in the back burner over here, you know. But you got to look at people that ended on a high note, like Edge. Edge ended on a high note. He ended it on a win. He ended it on a high note, but he ended up going somewhere else. But I would not be surprised if Drew McIntyre resigns with the WWE. By my no standards, I mean, this is the best Drew McIntyre I've ever seen in a few years. Like, not saying that the Drew McIntyre of old was not productive of anything of that nature. This just, he's in his best form. Like, the player hater Drew McIntyre is super entertaining. And his feud with Seth Rollins, which basically came out of nowhere, he basically filled in that block. And now we all looking forward to Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins. And it'll be a great pro wrestling match. Because I feel like this WrestleMania is more pro wrestling-esque type of WrestleMania than sports entertainment-esque. And I think there will be a mixture of the two, but I think it's a little bit more pro wrestling with some sports entertainment sprinkled on top. And I'm all for that. I'm cool with that. Completely cool with that. Now the question is asked, should he resign with WWE? A lot of people have suggested New Japan Pro Wrestling, participating in, the G1 Classic or the G1 Supercard G1 Climax, I'm sorry. Where the state of flux that New Japan Pro Wrestling is in right now, they would pay Drew McIntyre. I mean, that would be pretty dope to have Drew McIntyre there. To see him in another level, see him in another vein outside of WWE, is that more likely to happen? I don't think so. Him AEW, I would say is lower on the totem pole. I think right now AEW shouldn't sign any other male talent right now. I think they should bolster up the women's division as much as they can, because their male roster is really fat. Like, it's really good. It's really healthy. You could plug a lot of people in, and so the people that you're not using, use them, put them on TV, and that's what we should go forward with that. So I don't think They should sign Drew McIntyre. I don't think he should go to AEW. If anything, I think he should go to New Japan Pro Wrestling and participate in a G1 Climax. Participate at a Wrestle Kingdom. Possibly wrestle John Moxley and have that intermingling thing going on. But you're part of New Japan, not AEW. So, you know, it's many possibilities he can go with. But the highest possibility for Drew McIntyre is more likely he will sign with WWE. It's just what it is. He may sign with WWE, re-sign with WWE. It won't be a surprise for anyone. And speaking of signing, Tama Tonga looks to head to WWE. He wrestled for 14 years in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And now he has been in heavy talks with WWE, according to reports, but he extended another year with New Japan Pro Wrestling. But now that he's done, signs are pointing that he will go to the WWE. Maybe a very good move for Tama Tonga. You may see a reunification of the Bullet Club with Cody and, you know, the club, because Cody and AJ Styles haven't really crossed paths officially yet. So that may lead to some interesting developments there. It might lead to some things. But Tama Tonga looks like he said it to the WWE, and I'm not really mad at that. And in other news here, we got Chad Gable. And the question is, should Chad Gable win the IC title or Sami Zayn? Gunther has put the IC title on his back and made it prestigious again. Like with his legendary run with the Intercontinental Championship, like in recent memory, he is the best Intercontinental Champion in recent memory. Like, this run reminds me of Bret the Hitman Hart. This run reminds me of The Rock and Triple H, you know, Stone Cold Steve Austin, like, you know, Owen Hart, like that stuff like that. He belongs in that same vein. Honky Tonk Man. He belongs in that same vein of Intercontinental Champions. And he made it prestigious again. So the next person that beats him for that IC title has to be someone significant. And Chad Gable put up a very good case. He's like, listen, I'm looking for vindication. I lost in front of my kids. He didn't try to embarrass me in front of my kids. I need that get back. I need to do it at WrestleMania. Sami Zayn has a good case as well, because Sami Zayn is you know, no pun intended, he's more like the people's champion. He's for the people. Everybody's behind Sami Zayn with his impressive win over Nakamura, you know, last night, you know, on Monday Night Raw. He has a case as well. So what do you do in this situation? Do you do a triple threat match between Sami Zayn, Chad Gable, and Gunther? Or do you have Chad Gable and Sami Zayn face each other and the winner faces Gunther? I don't know. We really don't know. But that's the beauty part of it. The fact that we don't know how this thing is going to play out makes it good. And I feel like Chad Gable and Gunther will have the opportunity to steal the show at WrestleMania with that IC title on the line. Sami Zayn and Gunther can steal the show with the Intercontinental title on the line. The triple threat match between those three individuals can definitely steal the show. Matter of fact, you can keep Gunther safe by not pinning him at all by having a a triple threat match. You can have Chad pin Sammy or Sammy pin Chad. Either way it goes, Gunther never got pinned. Gunther never submitted. So at that point, you have an individual that has technically never been pinned, and he can go after the World Heavyweight title. Or, wild card, you can have Gunther retain the title and carry that on further than he already has already. But then if you have Drew McIntyre beat Seth Rollins, that kind of mixes things up a little bit. You know, would you have Drew McIntyre drop the title like that immediately if Gunther put his eyes on Drew McIntyre right out the gate? Would you do that? I don't think so. Unless You know, unless he's like that transition type. He's the one who shot the world. He's the one who beat Seth Rollins, and then Gunther comes up and beats Drew McIntyre, and then Drew McIntyre rides off into the sunset and, no longer with the WWE. That could very well happen. But signs are pointing to Drew McIntyre re-signing with the WWE. I personally would not mind Chad Gable. I'm more for Chad Gable being the Intercontinental Champion outside of Sami Zayn, even though I love them both. I think Chad is highly underrated. And we are, some people are just not seeing what he's capable of doing because he's been in tag teams and everything else in between. I don't know if they were trying to, prevent him from being the next Kurt Angle. That is your guy. He is Chad Gable. He is your future champion. He is the main event guy. His wrestling ability, his personality, it really reminds you of Kurt Angle, and it's crazy. It's crazy to think that, but that's what it is. That's what it is. Chad Gable, man, that's my pick to be the next Intercontinental Champion. And have him hold that title for a while. Have him be the fighting champion. Have him put on clinic matches. And please change the design of that Intercontinental Championship. Can we get the white strap belt again? Can we get that back? I don't know they're going to do that, but I was never a big fan on that title design of the Intercontinental Championship. Please change that. If Cody wins at WrestleMania, can we change the Undisputed Heavyweight Championship to the winged belt? They make it a little different than, the World Heavyweight. Well, actually, the World Heavyweight title do look different, but can we have the winged belt? Because Cody say, hey, I am the fan of the winged belt. I was a fan of that too. I definitely was a fan of the winged belt. You can bring that back. Now, again, I'm not a big fan of the WWE title design. It feels generic to me. In that regard, like, do something a little different. Change that title design a little bit. Just change it up. But as far as Chad Gable's concerned, I hope he gets his opportunity, and I do hope he gets his WrestleMania moment, and I hope they put on a clinic. But looking at it, you got Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch. Rhea Ripley, my pick for that match will be Rhea Ripley retains. I would like Rhea Ripley to retain, to just show her dominance of the women's division. And just have a newcomer beat Rhea Ripley. Like not like the people that we will typically see, but just have, a newcomer come and do this thing. But hey, check it. That is our show for tonight. AEW Revolution is on March 3rd. You better order that pay-per-view. I will tell you that right now. Sting's last match. I should be in Greensboro, North Carolina, but you know what? Those tickets sold out like that. We talking 15,000 plus. Going to be in Greensboro Coliseum to watch Sting's last match. And if you are on Ticketmaster, they are resale tickets. Ticketmaster are crooks. I'm going to tell you that right now. They will hit you, they will nickel and dime you with fees and everything else in between. But guess what? If you ain't in the building, you can definitely watch it on pay-per-view on Bleacher Report. And I will be there front and center to watch Sting's last match. But I hope you guys stay safe tonight and this week. Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, myself and Boogie Blends will be back for Nerd Talk Live. So all the most recent news and about video games, anime, manga, we got all that stuff coming at you 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Do not forget to hit that like button. Do not forget to comment on all the topics. If you just so happen to miss the live show, that's okay. That's okay. Go ahead and comment. I'm very attentive on our YouTube channel, and please support our Patreon. All right, every other month you will get Orange Phoenix magazine as well as a drawing every other month. So the months that you do not get Orange Phoenix magazine, you get entered into the drawing by subscribing to our Patreon. But that's our show for today. So until next time, y'all, peace.